Hi everybody, and welcome to our session exploring top places to send your LGBT plus clients and how to best support them. And we've already heard this afternoon about what LGBT plus customers are looking for. So here to offer tips and advice on how best to attract those clients and provide a welcoming environment from the start to the finish of their holiday. I am absolutely thrilled to welcome our fantastic panelists. So please welcome Adam Bloodworth, travel editor at City AM, David Meany, Director of Partner Marketing at the Travel Corporation, and Jennifer Lynch from Arrange My Escape, which is a fantastic travel agency doing a lot for the LGBT plus community. Welcome to you all. What a fantastic background you've got there.
Thank you, and happy Pride.
Really. Just a reminder to our audience, this is an entirely live session again, and we do welcome questions throughout. Please do let us know if you have any questions during this discussion. Firstly, I'd love to kick off by just asking each of you to introduce yourselves and just tell us a little bit about your experience in writing, selling, promoting LGBT plus travel. Adam, I'm going to come to you first, and then Jennifer, and then David.
Hi, thanks so much, Sophie. I am Adam Bloodworth. I am the travel editor at City AM, which is a London business newspaper. And I also am an LGBTQ plus journalist, and I write about all manner of LGBT topics, often through the lens of travel, with people like Metro, Telegraph, and currently City AM a lot.
Brilliant. Thank you, Adam. And you've travelled around the world as an LGBT plus person yourself.
Yeah. No, I've been really lucky to do some amazing trips, and I travel as much as I can, most often for work, and yeah, no, I've done a fair amount of traveling as an LGBT person.
Thanks, Adam. Jennifer, one of the TTG top 50 top agencies in the country. Tell us a little bit about yourself and also what you guys have done for your LGBT plus customers.
Yeah, of course. So we're based in Worcestershire. I've got 2 stores, just opened my second store a month ago. And we find it really important that we support the community, whether that be through sponsorship for Pride, advertising in the window, using socials, all sorts really. Any platform that we have and that we've got, it's important that we shout about it and make it inclusive for everybody, and encouraging the community as well, which is really good from a travel agency perspective.
Fantastic. We're going to come back to a little bit more of that because I think that you've got some fantastic advice.
Thank you.
And David, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what TTC has done for its LGBT customers.
Thanks, Sophie. Thanks for having me. My name is David Meany, and I'm the Director of Partnerships for the Travel Corporation. The Travel Corporation is a family-owned business of around 40 different travel brands. You may not have heard of TTC, but you probably have heard of our brands. So you've got Contiki, which is behind me here today, as well as Trafalgar, Inside Vacations, and Uniworld River Cruises, and various others. And my role from a diversity and inclusion perspective is I head up our DEI strategy, working with our PR, our people and culture teams, to kind of outline what that strategy means. And obviously a huge portion of that is speaking to how we are openly welcoming the LGBTQ plus community across all of our portfolio of brands.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, David. So Adam, just to kick off with you, I'm sure you've experienced some fantastic destinations as a writer as well, but just tell us what it's like as an LGBT plus traveller. You know, how mindful do you have to be when you're travelling? Are you mindful, or are you one of the rainbow rebels that we were just hearing about in Jenny Southern's report, where you don't care, you just want to be able to travel wherever you want to travel, and you might hide yourself when you do that, but that's the way you like to travel?
Oh, that's interesting. I need to listen. I'm keen to hear about what Jenny had to say. She works with us a lot at City AM as well. I think I try not to let travel stop me going, my identity stop me going anywhere. But I think it's always key to note that for lots of queer people, LGBT people, coming out can be a daily occurrence, and that's something that maybe people don't realise, that wherever you're going, whether it's Florida or Dubai or places where it's a little bit riskier for you to express yourself in certain ways, there's always challenges. It's inherent within a lot of queer people that you have this sort of, you perceive threat, and you perceive issues wherever you might go. And I think that there's 2 sets of travellers and people that are going to be more wary of going to places where it's criminalised, but also of course you've got kinds of queer people now that want to visit all of those places as well for the amazing cultural destinations that they are. So I just think it's, it's just, I personally am always, I'm a big believer in, look, we are different, and let's celebrate that difference. And actually, I think maybe an old school of thought was everyone's all the same, but no, we are different. We do face unique issues and challenges when we travel. That makes us great. We're all brilliant individuals, but we need to be. There is a certain playbook by which queer travel needs to be aware of, and I think I'm always thinking about that when I go to places. It doesn't personally stop me going to places like the UAE, where I've been a couple of times and had amazing experiences. Sometimes quite kind of camp, unusual experiences in the middle of a desert. Oh my god, no, this is not. That sounds really wrong. Nothing like that. But you just sort of think, wow, these people are all just people. But at the same time, I am exposed here to danger or threat or risk. It's just being aware of that and how to sort of counter it.
Thank you, and for some reason your screen seems to have gone. I don't know if it's just me, but all I can see is a black square. But we can hear you, so that's fine. Hopefully everyone else can see you better. I don't know if it's just on my end. But Adam, just to touch on that first point you mentioned, because as a gay woman, I know exactly what you mean. But just to elaborate for those that might not be familiar with that, when you said that as an LGBT person you have to come out sometimes every day, can you just elaborate on what that actually means? Because if you're not LGBT, you perhaps might not really understand what you mean by that.
I'm sorry about my video. I mean, that's I'm completely clear for me, which is useless.
I know what I hear you. It's fine.
Let me know if you stop hearing me, and I'll try and. I don't know. I can't really do anything. But what do you mean by coming out every day?
Yeah. So in the sense, just to explain to you, it's in every. If someone asks you who your partner is, for instance, you have to come out. You make that choice to come out, don't you?
Yeah, it's not even just within. It's not even just within travel, but it's just a daily occurrence for LGBT people, and that you have people you meet at work or at the bus stop, or people that you're constantly being assumed to be straight in every aspect of life, aren't you? So you're constantly having to either out yourself or sort of play by certain coded behaviours. A good obvious example of that is looking into a hotel, and I've personally had numerous experiences in England in places that should know better, and in places where it's more excusable, where I've had to sort of fight, keep the double bed when I've gone with an ex-boyfriend. I've had places in England and really sort of nice posh hotels in England that I've been privileged to review, saying, "Oh no, it's okay, don't worry, we can actually do two singles, it's not a problem." And they just it's really after there was enough hints given by that point that it was obvious that we didn't want to be singles. So I just mean that in every aspect, from overt to more nuanced, you're always having to come out.
Yeah. So key is just not making assumptions, isn't it?
It's just totally being flexible to everyone, and except I think it's really challenging because I think, as I said earlier, there's a huge cohort of queer travellers that want to sort of identify as queer and want to be seen as different, and want to talk about it and talk about being queer, talk about the challenges. And then there's a huge amount of people that go, no, we're the same. We want to be treated the same as everyone else. And I think, to be honest, that's the big challenge for in travel.
Jennifer, as someone, as an agency that clearly does get it right when it comes to the LGBT plus community, you specialise a lot in weddings and honeymoons. And how do you kind of, I don't know if you trained your staff, how did you approach it with your team? And how do you make sure that your LGBT customers do feel included, and that assumptions aren't made, that you're asking the questions about what kind of events you want and the rest of it without it being awkward?
Yeah, I think Adam brought up a really valid point actually about assumption and assuming, and people automatically think that because you're two men or you're two ladies that you should have certain things a certain way. And I think with the team, we're quite lucky that we're very open and we will ask the questions. So do you want a double bed? Do you want a single bed? Do you want two rooms? Do you want one room? And not assuming anything, because it's that time that you assume that you get it wrong and you upset that client then. But from a wedding and honeymoon perspective, we do a lot of wedding shows. And it's really, really lovely to see different types of couples from all different types of backgrounds that we get approach us. And I think, again, it's very accepting that we don't assume. And that's where we get a lot of our business from, because we make them feel comfortable and having that knowledge of recommending hotels and destinations that we're able to make everybody feel comfortable. And that's where we're seeing that.
Did you have to train your team up, or how did you kind of get that to be the general
Yeah.
consensus across the business?
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. You have to do training because things change, the world changes, destinations open up. So it's just a case of things like webinars popping up and asking suppliers. So if a supplier comes in and visits and wants to do training, ask the question. We do ask topics like sustainability, like LGBT plus community questions. Is a destination safe? What would you recommend? Are hotels better than others? Are they safe to go out? And it's just these little things that we can then build our knowledge on to be able to pass on to clients and advertise and promote in a reasonable manner,
Yeah, that's
basically.
great. Just asking suppliers to help you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess on the imagery front, right? Because everyone's always looking for more inclusive imagery, and I think Trevor still has a long way to go when it comes to creating more inclusive imagery. But I guess asking the question challenges suppliers to hopefully then think, we don't do that.
Yeah, because until they start getting these questions thrown at them, they're not going to be able to know the answers.
Yeah,
To be able to help them grow, because essentially their information is what we will pass on to our clients. So we need to have that to hand and have the tools and the resources to be able to do that. So
yeah,
having these tour operators push that on us, if you like, is nothing's going to change
yeah.
because we haven't got the resources to be able to do it. I mean, just an example, Classic Collection have got a webinar on the 23rd of June for LGBT
Ah,
and the community. So it's just teaching travel agents basically what destinations are safe and updates.
yeah.
So, and unless tour operators jump on this and teach us these things, we're never going to be able to grow, basically.
Great. Okay, so it's training and education.
Absolutely.
And David, you're our tour operator on the call.
Um,
Tell us what you guys are doing. Do you do webinars? Do you have inclusive imagery that agents could possibly use? Is that something that you're looking at doing if you don't do it yet?
yeah, look behind me. This is from a Kentucky shoot in partnership with Visit Spain last year.
Amazing.
That we shot, and that whole campaign was not just those that were in front of the camera, but everyone behind the camera. The entire production team was sourced from the queer LGBTQ plus community. Because one of the key things for us at TTC is not to be doing just the lip service. We want to ensure that we're directly supporting the community.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I suppose to your point, Jennifer, around the tour operators having to do the work, that's what we're doing. So our product part of this wider diversity strategy, our product contractors are being, kind of mandated to go out and contract with queer business owners, so that if we are to run, let's say, a pride trip, that we are actually directly giving back to the community. And then from the marketing perspective, that we're working with photographers and videographers and influencers and models who are also from that community. So it really runs deep. It's not just, rainbow washing.
Yeah.
And I suppose all of that really needs to be in place before any marketing team is throwing around a flag or, kind of saying, oh, we're doing all this great stuff just for the month of June and then stopping.
Yeah.
So I suppose, that's some of the work that we've been doing, as well as looking really internally. So we can go out with all of this messaging, but what's it like for a member of staff who works here, who's part of that community? We set up employee resource groups where they have a space to come together. And later this month, we'll be celebrating Pride. And it's about kind of nurturing that culture internally, which then allows it to become easier to contract with the community and market directly to the community because it feels natural. It doesn't feel like we're just jumping on it for the month of June.
Yeah, which is so key at the moment, right? And I think we're really seeing brands getting called out on social media for those that aren't authentic about it and that do just stick on a rainbow flag and think, that's it, supported Pride next. Whereas actually it's authenticity, and people will challenge you if you're not, being genuine and authentic about it. And David, just sticking with you, sorry, Bernard, I have seen your question. I'm going to put that to the panel shortly. And Liz, just to come back to you, yes, it is possible to access the session afterwards. We are making all of this content on demand, so do not fear. David, just a question about how you kind of sort of manage the fact that obviously there are a lot of destinations around the world which we do know have horrific laws and aren't necessarily LGBT plus friendly. How do you guarantee that you'll keep your LGBT plus customers safe? Or is it just about saying, look, just so you know, this is the laws of the country, this is the information that we can give you? How do you sort of manage that?
Yeah, it's really challenging, and unfortunately, we're seeing lots of LGBT rights being pulled back in many of the countries that we visit. So we visit countries like Egypt or Kenya, which can be seen as controversial as their laws still discriminate against people within the LGBTQ plus community. However, and our message back to that is, however, traveling with a group like Trafalgar or Insight Vacations or Kentucky can allow travelers to feel safer.
Right.
Because you're with a global tour operator who has trained their staff, who's directly contracting where possible with people of the community, or if not, making it very clear in our contracting that this is what our values are as a brand, and this is what the experience should be, and this is how you should welcome all guests on our trips. We've even worked with influencers, like we sent Meg Kale, who's a big US queer female influencer. We sent her to Egypt a few years ago with her wife to document their experience as an LGBTQ plus couple in Egypt. And then they wrote that content for us on our channels. So we don't expect every LGBTQ plus person to, travel to the far reaches of the globe or to visit anti-LGBT countries, but we want to provide an accessible option for those who do want to do that.
Brilliant. I'm going to start putting questions to you guys because we're getting lots through, which is fantastic. And today is all about learning and supporting our audience. So Bernard has a question here saying, based on the recent Booking.com survey, that 65% of LGBTQ plus community would prefer to book and travel with LGBTQ plus owned and managed businesses. He's asking, is there a future for other travel brands to try and sell to the LGBT plus community? That's a fair point, Bernard. Adam, I'm going to come to you, and then Jennifer, I'm sure, will be able to say yes. But Adam, what are your thoughts on that? Because to David's point, it is important to support the LGBT plus community. When you're in a destination, it's nice to kind of give back, but you don't just have to restrict all of your business only to the LGBT plus community, surely.
I don't know if people can see me or not, but if the question is, oh great, if the question is there more space for queer travel brands and companies that celebrate queer identities? I think absolutely. I mean, if you look, I can only talk from a journalism publishing perspective, but if you look at the success of magazines like Out There, which is a really lovely luxury queer leaning travel magazine, it's a huge market, and I'm sure there are loads of people. As I say, it comes back to that split that I feel quite passionately about people that say this is everything, this is my entire, a huge part of my identity, like me, and then people go, oh, actually it's not, it doesn't define me. But for the huge amount of people that actually really like being with other queer people on trips and want to explore queer culture internationally, I think there's a huge market for many more travel operators and tour brands to directly sell to that market.
Yeah, I think he's saying, does the travel brand have to be owned by the LGBT plus community? But I think,
does it have to be owned by them?
Yeah, I think what we're saying is, as long as you're authentic and you're genuine about wanting to support the LGBT plus community, it doesn't matter if you yourself don't identify as gay, lesbian.
Oh no, of course not. No. I mean, I'm sure there's a huge benefit for someone who is queer to run a queer travel company, but no, of course not. In fact, I think that the straight run titans of the industry with a lot of power and influence are the ones that should be scrutinised the hardest for providing the best representative opportunities for queer people. They're the ones that actually have the most work to do in terms of making sure that in their language and in their trips and in their messaging, they're really making the queer community feel seen.
Jennifer, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. You guys are clearly very genuine and authentic about your support for the LGBT plus community. Did you start from the very outset supporting them, or was it something that you thought later on, actually, we're missing a big part of the market here, we should do more? Or was it, never even a conscious thought, you just thought we're going to be inclusive from the start and,
Yeah, absolutely. It was just inclusive from the start. I have got Ryan, who is part of the LGBT community within the store anyway, so it was just a natural progression into that market and to support the pride events that we do anyway. But I just think it's a bit, I don't know, I think it's, even if Ryan wasn't part of the team, we'd still do it.
Yeah,
it's just something that we would naturally do. I don't think you should turn away any business because of who someone is or what they believe in or what they do.
Yeah.
And it's just about listening to that client and their wants and their needs, regardless of what that may be. They're all customers that walk through your door. So why would you not take care of them
Yeah.
and do the best to your ability of what you can for them? So,
and it's good for the bottom line, right? It's good monthly
exactly,
income.
right?
But come on, it's good financial business, right?
Absolutely. So I would never turn away anybody for any reason, regardless of what their business is, and do
Right.
the best for them. And I think we've instilled that in the team from day one.
Fantastic.
So yeah.
David, we have a question for you. Natasha is asking, what are the top 5 countries which have recently been more inclusive of the LGBT plus community? But if you have that to hand, or do you have a...
Well, this one behind me is Spain, and this partnership is with Visit Spain, and they are one of the most welcoming, progressive countries in the world. But some others that also kind of stand out are the Netherlands. It's kind of long been known for its progressive stance on LGBTQ plus rights. Canada, Sweden, New Zealand. And interestingly, Uruguay has made some significant strides in LGBTQ plus rights in recent years. Legalized same-sex marriage in 2013, and it's the second country in South America to do so. So there's a couple that come to mind. But just back to your point around it making commercial sense. Like there was some survey from Pew Research Center, which we referenced last year, in that 50% of Gen Z are not exclusively straight.
Wow.
Which was a really strong insight for Kentucky because it's exclusively 18 to 35-year-olds. And also there's been a 24% increase in LGBTQIA plus people in the world since 2017. So for commercial reasons, the business opportunity is huge.
Yeah.
And then another insight that we've seen is that we have launched a Kentucky Pride trips. I think what we're going to do is we're going to actually move away from that next year, because to the point around Rainbow Warriors, which I really love, I've taken a note of, and I definitely want to read that report. This younger generation have grown up where being around other queer people, or just having a family or parents that are accepting of difference is becoming more normal, and therefore feeling like maybe I need to travel with only like-minded people. There'll always be a place for that, but there's potentially move away from that as well. So we're challenging our contracting teams to come up with experiences that have the element of pride, but are not kind of exclusive to that community as well.
Interesting that. And interesting as well that I think people are just, like you say, feeling more comfortable coming out. So then when they're taking those, the national ONS surveys and things, they're saying, yes, I am. Whereas, a few years ago, they might have been worried about saying that, or someone else seeing it, or not wanting to feel comfortable being out themselves. It's a big thing to come out to yourself, but you learn to the people around you.
Yeah.
And just on those...
I just seen Natasha's comment around the more inclusive tourism boards. So I do partnerships and I work with the tourism boards all the time, and I'm sure, Sophie, you see this as well. And so many of them are now using this as a USP to kind of pull on the more progressive movements that their governments have been doing. So when it comes to sustainability and DEI in general, they've become two areas that tourism boards are specifically looking to partner with brands like ourselves on and do more with.
That's great.
For sure.
And just on those destinations, we should give a shout out as well to Malta, one of the most LGBT.
Yes.
And you obviously can find out more in the lobby room area. And as well, one of our D&I partners is Visit Tampa Bay. They've done a lot in this area, and I know that they're in Florida, and Florida is having its own rhetoric around the LGBT plus community. But Tampa Bay itself has a lesbian mayor who's very out and proud, and it's just worth bearing in mind, as a little lovely enclave within Florida, they're very welcoming to the community as well. Sean says, are there any particular countries that should be avoided completely for LGBT plus clients? That's a really interesting one. Jennifer, when you're advising destinations, would you ever advise a destination that, for instance, the Maldives, a lovely honeymoon spot, I think, I've never been, I'd love to go, but it's not LGBT friendly according to their laws, but I know that there are lots of hotels and resorts that actually are LGBT friendly. How do you get around that? Would you advise, would you send a client to a place that's not particularly welcoming?
Yeah, we would. It's just talking it through with the client basically, and just seeing how happy and how they feel about going to that destination, giving them the information at the time, and just seeing what they want to do basically. And talking through the hotels, because some hotel chains are more accepting than others.
Yes. Yeah.
They encourage it. Some hotel chains aren't so great. We've had experiences where things have gone wrong as well in the past for couples. So it's just going into that manner, and also speaking to the hotels as well. There's contacts, we've got some great contacts within the travel industry. We tend to use them quite a lot, and just touch base to see, if anything can be done, just to make them aware of what's going on, and feeding that back to the client as well.
Okay.
Before they book, if that's what they want to do, just to make them feel a little bit more at ease, or, after they've booked as well, we'll also do that. But I guess as well, if we don't encourage travel to these destinations, how are we ever going to explore the world? How are we ever going to open it up into the world as well?
Yeah.
So it is kind of important that we start to see movement to maybe destinations that aren't great. I was in Jamaica last week, and one of the questions that I posed to one of the hotel managers that were showing us around was how they felt about same-sex couples getting married, for instance, and having ceremonies. And they were very upfront and honest and said, no, we don't condone it. It's not something that we offer. However, we would encourage them to come to the resort. So it's just about asking these types of questions in destinations that aren't generally great, basically.
Interesting. And where do you get your information from? What resources do you use?
We take resources from everything. So the travel media is a great resource for updates, supplier updates, social media. Suppliers, like I talked through earlier, will ask questions, webinars, any different type of source that we can pull information from, we will. I've noticed as well, sort of mainstream tour operators now have pages on their websites, so the team can read through them, get information that way. So there's many different sort of resources, but I do think that needs some kind of collective place, really. I do think it's hard to get information, if I'm honest.
In one place. I should say our issue of TTG that's come out for Pride Month has our largest ever LGBT plus feature. So that should be a helpful resource for some in the trade. Adam, you obviously write about LGBT plus travel. Are there certain countries that you wouldn't write about because you feel actually it's not right to promote them, or you can, as far as you're concerned, everything's on the map, and it's best to be informed about everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, I think as David said, the broadest trend really is that in our lifetimes, this idea of LGBT identity is changing so dramatically that it might even not exist by the time we're older, because it's such a huge part of so many people are coming out at such a rate that it's changing so much. So I don't think you can make any generalized rules about not writing about places or writing about them, because I think we have to assume that people can make their own decisions about where they travel to. And I've always been a big believer that the people on the ground in any destination are amazing. Everywhere's amazing, right? Like, I don't like it when anyone calls anywhere, people talk horribly about certain cities in this country, but everywhere's someone's home.
Yeah.
And from a journalistic perspective, everywhere is a great story. So I would never ever have a blanket rule against places. I mean, when we covered the World Cup in Qatar last year, we fronted it up. The first couple of paragraphs, we fronted up, the human rights atrocities that happened in the country. We said, look, there's a lot of problems about visiting this place. However, if you're a football fan and you're going to go, here's where to stay, here's where to eat, here's how to behave. So for me, and I respect everybody has different takes on this, but for me, it's just fronting up the issues, never shying away from them, just to make it really clear that we need to hold power to account. But actually, if people want to travel to Qatar's got some incredible stuff to see. So has Dubai, so has Egypt. So it's really humanising the people on the ground, and also by doing that, not only are we allowing travellers to go to amazing places, but we're also, I think, expanding conversations in the globalized economy. We need to be able to go to places and talk to people. That's the way that we're going to change perspectives in countries where there is still bigoted thought around identity. Going to places and talk to people on the ground is so powerful. And as I said, I did that. I've done that in the UAE. I've done that in lots of places, and it's really, really powerful. Talking and connection and queer movement, queer travel around the world to enable conversations is a really strong way of moving forward.
So it's being educated and informed, really, and yourself as well as your audience, that you're, whether they're customers or readers.
Yeah, I think it's just believing in the people, in the places, and their ability to create incredible cultures. That's my take. I fully respect other newspapers that have different perspectives. The likes of Owen Jones would say, "Don't promote Dubai," and I absolutely respect his opinion. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Deb Harding's, I think it's more of a comment really, but Jennifer, I don't know if you're able to help. She says, "I'm trying to help a same-sex couple with their wedding arrangements. It's just the two of them travelling, but they want a fully legal ceremony and not a civil celebratory wedding. So it needs to be, okay, totally legal. In an ideal world, they love each wedding, but I'm failing ethically. They've also been to some wedding fairs and given wrong information about where gay weddings are legal." Any advice on that? I mean, even in the UK, the ground has to be sacrosanct, right? And I know this from my own wedding because we need to get married on a lake. Actually, we couldn't do that. We had to have that was like a civil even in the UK, let alone abroad. Any tips, advice, Jennifer, at all from your weddings and honeymoons knowledge?
Speak to some suppliers that specialise in weddings, I would say, and just see if they can scour some destinations where that can happen. I don't know if it is going to be a possibility. I'm wondering if it would be better maybe to do the legal bit here and then maybe have the beach civil ceremony abroad. But yeah, speak to some suppliers, and if they can speak to some ground. Greece, Cyprus would be my first thought, but yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you, Jennifer. I hope that helps a little bit, Deb. David says hello from Florida. Ah, great. Look, we've got people from Bangkok, we've got people from Florida. Fantastic. Kate just flags about live chatting with operators and hotels to get instant responses to questions where possible. That's a good point, David. I'm sure that's something that you guys employ. I don't know if you've noticed an increase in questions about LGBT plus travel in recent years. Is it something that you think is much more on the agenda of agents now?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to hear Jennifer saying that they're asking the suppliers that are coming in about sustainability, about diversity, about LGBT, because from my side, we're creating the assets to give to the sales managers to go out and do that. So it's nice to know that we're creating it and we're giving it as training, and you guys are actually looking for it as well, which therefore means the consumer is looking for it, and it's kind of the circle is rounding itself off. But yeah, we're definitely seeing, both directly through to our call centers and through our sales managers, more and more questions around our credentials when it comes to diversity and inclusion, LGBTQ plus, for sure.
Fantastic. That's really good. And are there any resources that you would recommend, David, in terms of agents being able to turn to, not just on the tour operator side, but in terms of knowing which countries to send customers to, or which hoteliers to partner with?
Yeah, I think it's like the SEO is obviously a very good one, but the website, just to see kind of the real facts. But ultimately, like to Adam's point, it's like the people in destination can be quite welcoming and different to what the legal side of it. So your actual experience as an LGBTQ plus person can be so different to what the government is saying. So I think the government can be saying one thing, but sometimes actually it's what the tourism board is often saying. And I know that they're obviously connected to government, but they're more consumer facing. So if you're engaging with tourism boards, you're engaging with your suppliers, your tour operators, keeping an eye on the media. And unfortunately, and to Jennifer's point, there isn't really one-stop shop when it comes to catering to the LGBTQ plus community. We have to do some digging sometimes. It's not always easily found.
and we know that the government can say one thing and actually the people think entirely the opposite. So in the UK, we're not immune from that, are we? Lindsay has just messaged as well to say do drop her an email around a Malta wedding, of course. So Malta perhaps can do the beach wedding. So hopefully, Deb, that helps you. We are coming up almost to the end of the session. Really just wanted to get some final tips and advice from you guys, it being Pride Month, on where you think, firstly, agents should start when it comes to Pride Month. If they're not already doing much with the LGBT plus community but want to do, should they don the rainbow flag, or would you say no, get things in order first before you start popping on your rainbow flag? And how can they do more? What are the first steps they should take on this journey? Adam, I'm going to come to you, and then Jennifer, and then David.
Just read, and read a bit more. Try and break the stigma by talking to as many people as you can. And there was a question, I think, earlier, someone touched on the idea of fear and just, what we should bring up or what we shouldn't. I mean, I would say, always bring up as many things as you can in board meetings, always talk as much as you can. Don't be afraid to bring these topics up with anyone, because the more heads you have in the room, the more you'll get to the end point. So I would just say try and read as many travel blogs. There's some great ones out there. The only thing that I feel really passionately about, and I don't have an answer to this, but one thing I think is really important to share, and I've written a piece for the Telegraph about this, which you can find, is the idea of teenagers and early age, particularly people who might be closeted. I think this is something that people really aren't talking about. But I mean, I had friends when I was quite privileged to be sort of quite straight passing, but I had some friends that were a lot camper than me that sort of had to sort of got in the shower and come out and pretend they were dripping with sweat with illness when their parents took them to certain territories when they were 15, 16, so they didn't have to go out of the hotel. I think it's a really unspoken thing, actually, the idea that we have a huge responsibility as a community to reflect closeted teenagers, and I think they're the ones most likely to be dragged on trips with their parents to places where they don't feel comfortable. And I don't know what the answers are, but I just think that that's something that travel agents and the industry generally needs to be really, really aware of. I think it's a real slipping through the cracks at the moment. Like, beware that, queer people are often, you're queer from birth, right? So, you can start to present and feel uncomfortable in your skin from 8, 9, 10, 11. So I think parents and travel agents and everyone has a critical responsibility to help those people by advising parents, actually, this destination, it may make some LGBT people uncomfortable. Have you considered that for your own children?
Interesting point, actually. We talk about LGBT plus families in the sense of, two gay parents, but actually, you're right, there are the gay children to consider that, that perhaps hasn't been acknowledged. So thank you, Adam. That's a really pertinent point, which I think that's been overlooked in the discussion. Thank you.
No, it's
Jennifer, your thoughts. Are you guys doing anything for Pride Month? You said that you sponsor some local Pride.
Our Worcester Pride is next month, so we are sponsors for that, which is great.
Yeah, what does that entail?
So we'll have a stand at the event itself, which is normally opposite the store, which is great for us. And we'll give out lots of offers and goodie bags, and we'll have support and advertising from that as well, which is great. But it's just, we'll probably put a competition into place and take some data like we did last year, and then we're able to actually target that market separately from our normal database. So we can send out specific offers just for that.
Awesome. Have you done it before, or is this your first year?
No, we've done it every year since we've opened.
And
apart from COVID, obviously.
And does it? We don't talk about COVID. We don't talk about that. And does it bring new business? Do you get new customers as a result?
We do, yes. Yeah, we try to push it as much as we can, which is great. So yeah, we do see customers as well, and the weddings and honeymoons especially is quite big for us, and we've seen that grow quite substantially, which is amazing.
And how else do you get the message out there aside from Pride? So for other parts of the year, is it the imagery that you use in your window, or the brochures that you put together? How do you kind of get the message out there?
So we do it in different ways, and the advice I would give to someone who's looking to start maybe is start small. What Adam said is do a bit of research. So even if you started with a handful of destinations that you promoted, you're still promoting them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting small. You can put those in your window, you can put those on social media, but it's just showing that support, isn't it? And maybe someone who views your window walking past or sees you on social media and never thought that you would do something like this. Now that you can, you they can talk to someone maybe that they never ever thought that they could turn to for support. So start small. Support your local community. So there may be a cafe locally that's LGBT friendly. So we do that. We've got one around the corner that we support. So there's got to be different ways within your own community as a whole, as a general, that is supportive in different ways. So maybe reach out, speak to a few different people, see what you can do collectively.
And I know you say it's a small step, but just having an inclusive image, which could be a trans person or it could be
Exactly.
holding hands, it might look like a small step to someone, but actually that's a really powerful, huge statement to someone that is struggling to come out or has been thinking, I want to go on holiday with my partner, it's our first holiday together, and they see that can speak volumes, right?
Of course it can, because yeah, exactly, because they may have walked into another travel agency or done research and they've just come up against a brick wall and they're not getting anywhere. Just to be listened to and understood is the main thing.
Yeah, and to
It's
know
the
that
biggest thing.
A positive reception, right? Because
Yeah,
it can be quite difficult.
absolutely. No judgment. Two people are sat in front of us. There's no judgment, regardless of whoever they are.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's all anybody wants, isn't it?
Yeah, and that can mean the world to someone
Yeah.
that's faced injustice in the past. And David, your thoughts on what agencies do to really start out? Should they be donning the rainbow flag? Should they wait and actually get their ducks in a row first? What would you say?
I think they can don the rainbow flag, but maybe like more internally to start with. So that's kind of making sure that if you have members of that community who work with you, that they feel they can really feel like they can belong, or if you've got a couple of people from that community, that you give them a platform to share their voice during this month. So we are doing an internal staff piece where we have colleagues from all over the world. We've got colleagues in Poland and in South Africa and in various different parts of the States and Australia, and LGBTQ plus rights are so different in all of those countries. So we're giving everyone a platform to come together and share and celebrate. To Jennifer's point, like supporting local, supporting the community directly, that's a big focus for us. And in Tiki are partnering with Black Pride, which is a pride that happens in August in London, a traditionally underrepresented community. When we think about LGBTQ plus, we think about white gay men usually. So it's about supporting that community. And maybe if you feel like as a travel agency, you don't necessarily have the kind of expertise to go out and do that, I think about a membership organization you become a part of, or I'm sure, Sophie, you're doing great stuff. You've got an event in July around Pride, and start just talking more and maybe building community. Like we at Kentucky have an LGBTQ plus ambassador who was brought on this year. She's a gay Black female, and her name is Aisha, and she's an incredible speaker, super passionate, and she will be working with us to ensure that we are walking the walk and we are doing the work internally from a training perspective, from a product development perspective. But I think just to round it all off, like we are here doing the work and we are a big business, and I appreciate the travel agents here don't necessarily have the resources that we do. But it's great to hear, Jennifer, that you're asking those questions. And I would say to any agents here, you've got sales managers knocking down your door every day, looking to get in and chat about this, that, and the other. Well, make sure you're quizzing them. Okay, what are you doing for this community? Do you have a strategy in place? What does that look like? And how are you actually supporting that community directly? And then you, as an agent, when you're selling that brand or that tour or that airline or whatever, you can feel more confident.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much, David. We know Aisha well. She actually took part in this seminar this time last year, which you can catch up on ttgmedia.com as well if you wanted to go back. But yeah, she's a great ambassador. Thank you so much to all of you. We've had some lovely comments through. Yes, to Josh's point, Equal Decks, that was referenced earlier, I think, by Jenny. But that is a great resource to explore the progress of LGBTQ plus rights across the world, he says. And yes, it can be very, very helpful. IGLTA is also quite a helpful website. It has lots of different hotel brands on there who are partners. It stands for the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association. I think they've got that right. and it has lots of sort of helpful tips and resources as well. And don't forget to check out your latest copy of TTG as well, which is packed full of LGBT plus advice. Thank you, Adam. I see you've just shared that piece as well. Yeah, that looks really interesting. We'll definitely have a look at that. Thank you so much to all of you guys. That's been a really insightful panel. We had lots of questions through, which is always a good sign. Thank you so much, and to Happy Pride Month to you all. And looking forward to seeing the pics from Worcester Pride, Jennifer.
Yeah, can't wait.
Thank you so much. Sadly, everyone, that is all we have time for. A huge thank you to everyone that's participated in today's seminar, and thank you to all of you guys for attending. I really hope that you found it to be informative and insightful, and that it's given you the confidence to sell and market travel to the LGBT plus community. Thank you to Visit Malta for all of your support. It's always great to hear from you guys on everything that you're doing. A reminder to everyone that we're hosting Travel Pride on Thursday, the 6th of July. It's entirely free to attend. It is in London. I can confirm it will feature some fantastic entertainment. We're going to post the link again shortly into the chat. And we are going to be hosting the annual TTG Diversity Forum as well on Wednesday, the 5th of July. So you can come to London and make 2 days of it. It's going to be at the offices of News UK, also free to attend. We're going to pop the link in the chat as well. It'll be fantastic to see you all there. And I just want to let you know we're going to be running our first ever accessibility seminar on the 18th of October. It's going to be very similar in format to today's session. It's all about how agents can best support their customers with accessibility needs, looking at neurodiversity and autism, as well as physical disabilities. So if you'd like to attend, we're going to pop that link in the chat as well. So many links, but good just to get registered, and we'd love to see you all there. It's all about learning and doing what we can to support other communities. So thank you so much again to all of you for joining us this afternoon, and happy Pride!